What is up, duelists? Arts and Crofts here, once again bringing you your daily dose of Yu-Gi-Oh! Goat Format action. Today's feature match, we got Edison Smurf versus Testing V2. As always, both players rated in the top 200 of the Duelingbook Goat Format ladder. At the time this match was played, let's hop right into it. Looks like Edison Smurf is going to be going first. Always a good position to be in. And they're just going to go classic T-set pass. Testing your move, but solid start. Duo is an even better one, though. Testing V2, likely jumping out into an early lead, and they'll get some good intel on what Edison Smurf is playing. They hit a Chaos Sorcerer. Cool. Big unit there to get sent to the grave early. And then we'll see Sinister get sent to the grave, so Duo actually just being a 1-for-1. But at least now you know your opponent is playing Chaos for sure, which might, color how you play out the rest of this turn. Testing, so it's going to fire off a Thunder Dragon, so little Chaos Mirror potentially here. Turbo Control, I guess we'll see. But testing here with a solid start here. T-set pass of their own, though, so Edison Smurf's still up the tempo. We'll see if they can use it to their advantage. Gonna grab that Serpent back here, which does notably play into Trap Dust Shoot, which is somewhat likely in this scenario. Turn 1. See if testing fires it off. Looks like they do not have it. And we're gonna get Flip Summon Gravekeeper Spy here for Edison Smurf. We're going to summon out in defense, which signals that they probably don't have a Nobleman of Crossout in hand. It's going for the more defensive spy posturing here. And we're going to Jar of Greed, draw a card, pass. Or sorry, not pass. We're going to fire off Mind Control. Getting a little bit ahead of myself there. But yeah, likely Jar of Greed here. Good to fire these off if it will just kind of generally, if there's a chance it'll improve your hand for the turn. Mind Con here, not sure if that's exactly what they drew, but going to fire it off on the set monster. Could be Spy, could be Takuchi. Let's see. Grab Slate Warrior. Wow, okay, so testing V2 on some jank here. Love it. We got Chaos running Slate Warrior. Pretty cool. I mean, Slate Warrior is just a nice body. I guess you actually don't want to flip this, though, because then it'll just give the stat power up to testing for free. Kind of funny, though. In fact, you would have rather actually testing keep this Slate Warrior so you could kill with your Gravekeeper Spy. But this is never a card that you're going to expect to pick up with Mind Control. But small win here for testing, baiting out a Mind Con with Slate Warrior, which is pretty neat. We are going to go flip it. I feel like that's not amazing. Right? Like, why wouldn't you just keep it face down? And then, like, maybe bait. I mean, I guess there's no way testing doesn't flip it regardless, so probably doesn't matter too much. Spy's going to get in for 12, though. Decent pressure here for Medicine Smurf. Resolving Spy is pretty nice, and then it looks like they have Thunder Dragon here as well. So both players got double TD in hand. Whoever cashes those in first will be in a pretty solid advantage, most likely. But we will see. Slate Warrior is actually now big enough to beat over Spy, by the way, 2400 attack. And Edison Smurf is going to pass a back row. Or set a back row pass. Slate Warrior is a pretty big threat, though, so they got to have something to deal with it. I guess we'll see, though. Testing, going to draw for turn. It's going to go attack into the defense position Spy. But Edison Smurf does have the Raigeki break here. Going to discard the known Serpent. Nice little 1-for-1 there. Mind Control. I guess Slate Warrior was, in the end, a 2-for-1, though. Because it traded for both Mind Con and Raigeki break. So, like I said, small win for testing. Still their normal summon for the turn as well. They're going to use it to set a monster. Pretty easy to wall these Gravekeeper Spies. So we'll see what it is. Edison Smurf wouldn't be surprised to just see the Spy go into defense. Is a little bit scary. You don't really know exactly what testing could be running here. When all you've seen is a Slate Warrior so far. Grab that Serpent back, of course. Already tested this back row for knock, yeah. We're going to go normal summon Sangan, so getting aggressive here. Spy will attack the set. It is a Dekoichi. Okay, so just going to run right over that. So we're running Slate Warrior in potentially just a Chaos Turbo Shell. Kind of fun. So Dekoichi will cycle for a card. Sangan will get in for 1k. Start pressuring testing. Good stuff there. Edison Smurf just going to pass. In a decent spot here. Relatively aggressive. But testing, we know they have double TD in hand, so it's good to pressure when they haven't been able to cash them in yet. So definitely makes sense to me. Testing has Chaos Sorcerer of their own, Dekoichi turning that on. And now this is really good. You can go ahead and banish the Sangan. Set a monster here as well. That is a threat. It's not a huge threat, because Faith Grab Duo isn't the end of the world, because Edison Smurf's hand is TD Serp and an unknown, but likely a Faith would not get a lot of value here at this point in time. So Edison Smurf doesn't really need to go too crazy about this set monster, is kind of my thought there. I think the bigger of the two threats is definitely this Chaos Sorcerer that is threatening to just wipe out their whole board. Pot of Greed is a good draw, though. Okay, so getting some units to potentially deal with this Sork. Snatch Steal is a good answer. Testing has 2 back row that could answer this, though. So, might not go through. We have Dust Tornado, yeah, solid out there. So, interesting. Dust Tornado, not a card that's normally played in Chaos Turbo. So, it's not a full Turbo shell here to run these Slate Warriors in. Definitely much more common in aggressive decks to clear up back row to beat in with things like Slate Warrior. So, from that perspective, it makes sense. We have Snatch will get answered. Ensign Smurf has Tsukuyomi. We're just going to have to go Suk Knock, potentially. Looks like that's going to be the play, which, you know, is an answer there. Just a nice little 1-for-1. I mean, I guess, yeah, Sork 2-for-1 tier because it got to banish the Sangan and 8 a knock. But Edison Smurf at least was able to stop the bleeding, keep their spies on board, and can continue to actually pressure in here. Suk attack the set. Oh, Mirror Force coming out here. Okay. Yeah, it's like a 1-for-1. Trading 1 card for 1 and like a little bit. It's not bad, especially if this is a high-value set monster. Also good to just kind of stabilize. Have a turn where you're not losing some life, just to give yourself some breathing room. They held that Mirror Force for a while, but that was definitely the first good chance they had to use it. Last couple of choices were single Spy attacks and then Spy plus Sangan, which is basically, you know, you're never going to Mirror Force Sangan Spy, right? Yeah, Edison Smurf, their offense a little bit brushed aside for now. Testing V2, looking to stabilize at this point in time. Set a monster pass. Okay, so taking their sweet time here. Not flipping up whatever this was, which makes the Mirror Force a little funnier. Because you didn't... Well, I mean, it was a good Mirror Force anyway. Just it was good value, so I can understand using it from that perspective. Just kind of weird to see that this actually isn't that high value of a card that you were protecting, but just using Mirror Force for value there, I guess. Ensign Smurf going to set a back row, or set a monster pass, short. So a little bit of a stalemate here. Spy is pretty good at forcing those, so not surprised. Testing has Giant Orc. Wow, okay. Cool, so this is just Chaos Beatdown, I guess. Orc coming down, beats over Spy, really nice. Both Spies now dealt with. Whatever set monster this might be, can just kill the Orc, though. We'll see if Ensign Smurf chooses to go for that. Faith, very much a threat here as well. Second set monster also didn't flip face up here for testing, so I wonder what they could be. We're gonna just flip summon Serpent just to kill the Giant Orc. Hey, 300 attack is non-zero, so, you know, most versatile card in the format coming in clutch here to deal with that Giant Orc. Main phase 2, gonna set a back row pass. They do have Tribute Summon for Thunder Dragon plays available here. But no huge reason to do it right now, I don't think. Really interested to see what testing set monsters are. One of them is going to be a Magician of Faith. Okay, so now that they know the Sinister is out of hand, they're saying, you know what, even if you have double TD, I'm just going to fire off this duo because I want to... This is probably the only, you know, window that I'll have to use duo where Sinister isn't in hand, so... Even if it might not be a full value duo, I definitely respect going for it here because it might not be full value, but later on it might be even less value than it is right now. And I think that's actually a really important concept. Is like, what is the best value I can get for this card at any point during the way I expect the game to play out, right? You kind of have to think about the relative value of the card when you use it in compared to other times during the game it could be used, you know. Yeah, so Duo's going to get fired off here. Just hits one of the Thunder Dragons. We'll probably see the other one hit the grave. Oh, he has a Night Assailant in hand, so it can bounce one of those Spies back. If you're running the third Spy, that could be really nice as well if you still have one more copy left in deck. So, once again, still a very, very low-value duo. Edison Smurf on what looks like just pretty standard Chaos Turbo with the main deck Minecon. Obviously one of the best decks in the format at insulating against duo, and this one got essentially no value, and even got another threat back in Edison's hand. We're going to go discard Thunder Dragon just to get a Light Engrave to turn on Chaos. Nice. And then we are going to slam down Chaos Sorcerer, banish the Serpent. Wow, all right. Really big play here out of testing V2. Going aggressive. Activating that duo. Slamming down their second Chaos Monster of the match. Probably poke in for 300 here. Oh, we're going to go... Oh, okay. Cool. We're going to go Tribute Summon for Thunder Dragon. And then go second Chaos Monster? Or no? I'm confused. Oh, no, sorry. They just summoned the Sork before they banished them. Whoopsie. So then we're just going to Tribute Summon for Thunder Dragon just to up the clock. 1900 damage coming through here. Yeah, I think that definitely makes sense. You know, the opponent's hand is what? Well, yeah. The hand is TD Spy, right? Which is not amazing. You don't really care about Mirror Force here because your Faith already got value. So I guess you might as well get the Thunder Dragon on board, even if it'll get walled out by the Spy. And then Thunder Dragon's nice to poke into the Spy, flip it face up for Sork to banish. So even if it won't be getting in damage for a while, it is still useful just as an aggressive monster here. And it will poke in for 16 this turn as well. So testing V2 was kind of getting grinded out for a little bit, but really big turn here. All the cards are on the table now, though, so if Edison Smurf can clean this up, they're going to be in a really good spot. But we know that they really don't have any options available to them at this point in time. Going to set a monster from the top of the deck. You know, it's not Serpent, right? Not Sangan. So pretty much always going to be a real flip here, actually. I mean, very likely that it's the Spy that we know about, of course. Testing V2, grab that Serpent, still playing under Dust Shoot, which is nice. You're probably just going to go T-Drag, attack the set. If it's Spy, it'll flip up, maybe summon a third, and Sork will banish one. I think that's the plan. Probably turn Faith to defense in case there's like Held Mirror Force. We're just going to Raigeki break. Ooh, we're going to Raigeki break the Sork, though. So likely trying to protect this Spy. I like the play. Discarding the last remaining Thunder Dragon in hand. And yeah, has the third Spy here as well. So Spy is now in a position to very much stalemate this game. With the Sork gone, other Sork gone as well. So going to be tough for testing to break through these Spies at this point, I think. Although they are running Giant Orc and Slate Warrior, so they do have several monsters that can get over Spy, at least. Likely left in the deck. So you're just going to buy the time. Faith the defense, set a back row pass. Edison Smurf walling up behind these Gravekeeper Spies. Draw for turn, set a couple back row pass. Interesting. So what would you set this turn that you didn't want to set last turn? Or maybe you're setting like a bluff Dust Shoot or something, and in case this back row is MST, you just want to set it alongside your real thing. That could be the play. That's always something good to think about. Is like bluff sets are better when it can like potentially take a hit for the back row that you actually want to stick around. All right. Testing gonna set a back row pass. Sure, just a good old stalemate here. Looks like Jar of Greed. Okay, so that was probably the draw for turn. Last turn, I would guess. Edison Smurf set a back row pass here again. Just in a nice little stalemate. See who blinks first. Edison Smurf's going to set a monster. We got Bluff Set Knock here to deal with the second Night Assailant of the deck. Okay. Testing probably not running any of those guys. But they are running Dekoichis. Oh, they are running at least one Night Assailant. Okay. Interesting. I guess it is kind of Chaos Beatdown. Alright, still stalemate here, though. Edison Smurf going for pretty much the same play. One not gone. Faith is a threat, of course. So, could resolve here. We're going to get Dust Shoot here as well. Wow, so Edison Smurf holding for a really long time. Or I guess they must have just drawn that, but pretty late in the game, able to resolve a Dust Shoot is pretty nice. Spy, of course, good at making sure your Dust Shoots stay better for longer, because they can force stalemate situations like this. One of the reasons why running multiple Dust Shoots isn't the end of the world in Turbo, because oftentimes games just kind of look like this, and if you're worried about drawing a Dust Shoot super late and it being dead, sometimes it'll just be live again, because you can end up in situations like this. Oh, sorry, let's see what testing has in their hand. So they have the BLS with no Lights Engraved to use it, but I think that's definitely the bigger threat of the two cards compared to the Sinister Serpent. And then you see testing V2 is also maining Knock and Saku. Okay, so we'll likely see the second Knock come down on the set monster. Sakuretsu's a good card to know to play around, not the best against Chaos Turbo, though. And yeah, so these are cards, I mean, Saku is generally not main decked in Turbo, generally main decked in Warrior, so I guess if you're going for a more aggressive, like, beatdown focused deck, even if you're playing mostly a Turbo shell, Saku could still make sense in the main to protect your beaters. BLS definitely getting sent back here though. Makes sense to me. And testing's going to fire off the knock, hitting Magician of Faith, so preventing that catastrophe that Resolving of Faith would have likely led to, with all that good stuff in deck. Or in grave, I mean. And last remaining copy in deck getting banished here for Edison Smurf. But still, the stalemate lives on. Draw go. Draw set go. We're going to go pro set heavy. Potential +1 here, 2 back row to 3. We're going to chain ring, though, on Spy. Okay, so getting not a full card's worth of value for the ring, but still not too bad. Also a little bit scary because testing is kind of low on life, but it's only 1,200. Edison Smurf has Ring of their own. Pop that Thunder Dragon. And that's actually pretty close to game. This is the scary chain for testing. Double ring being resolved when you're at 3,400 life points, especially in decks that are both running Chaos Monsters. It's not every day that you can survive 2 rings. So testing should be counting their blessings here, I think. And the board is... The stalemate looks like it might be getting broken. Things starting to simplify immensely. Testing goes down to 600 life. And heavy hits another heavy storm and a dead card destruction. I guess, yeah, I guess... Edison Smurf isn't super... I mean, I guess we'll see what testing... Oh, no, we won't see exactly what testing has to discard. But I guess neither player has TD in hand. But testing has Serpent in hand, right? So why wouldn't you have just fired off the card D at some point? Oh, because I guess they didn't want a card D when they had BLS in hand. Right. Oh, so this was really, really awkward timing for testing. They had card D with Serpent, but they couldn't use it because they had BLS in hand, which is one of the unfortunate things about running card D. Sometimes, even when you want to use it, you have the good cards in hand already, and it becomes kind of weird like this. And then last turn, Edison Smurf does shoot it away, the BLS, so card D... But then why wouldn't you just fire off the card D immediately when you... Like, after the dust shoot, right? Because you still had the Serpent in hand at that time. Kind of weird to me. I guess they were worried about... They went for the bluff set heavy and the bluff set card D. I just think you gotta use the card D there, right? Like, you know, Edison Smurf, all the Night Assailants are gone, all the Thunder Dragons are gone, the Serpent is gone. So what are you worried about hitting, right? They already have Chaos Live, so don't make Seven of the Graves in the end of the world. I feel like if you're running card D and you know you're going to get more value out of it than the opponent, you just have to use it, right? And now Heavy's just going to blow up everything. Testing's down to 600 life. It's still main phase 1, by the way, so any monster that can get over this Magician of Faith will poke through for game here, which is likely what Edison Smurf is setting up for. Saying, you know what, I have Ring, I have Heavy, I can probably set up for a game shot here. Getting helped out by Testing's Ring as well. And then show me any monster. Yeah, GG. Edison Smurf going to the banish. Testing not making him show the monster, but, you know, it's ladder. Who really cares? Game 2, though. So Edison Smurf's going to take it down. First game on Chaos Turbo against Testing's... I'm going to call it Chaos Beatdown for now. It's like a Chaos Turbo shell with Dequoichis and things like that. Dequoichis and Faiths. But it's also running Slate Warrior and Giant Orc. So, interesting deck. Not going to take it down in game 1, but as an aggro deck, you're definitely going to be happy that you're going first in game 2. Edison Smurf, kind of an interesting deck to side deck against as well, because you saw the flips, you saw the beatdown monsters, so probably a little bit... I mean, you probably side like you would against a warrior strategy, but maybe you keep in your Nox or keep some Minecons in or something like that. We did see Edison Smurf was maining Minecon. So already kind of pre-siding for that. Testing here. Oh, that was probably not intentional. I guess you're going to know what it is anyway pretty soon. So going to go T-set pass. We know the set is Trap Dust Shoot. And we'll get to know the contents of Edison's hand here. They have a pretty good one. Opening Pot, Minecon. So yeah, they did keep in their set monster Hate here. Raigeki Break with no discard fodder, but still fine. And Jar of Greed, which is really good into Dust Shoot. You probably send back the Dequoichi because it's actually playable right now. Obviously, no monsters in grave to make BLS live. Pot of Greed is, of course, scary, but you can't do anything about that. Dust Shoot's going to send back the BLS, actually. So, okay. Oh, I guess we see... I could have shown just Edison Smurf's hand, but we see in Testing's hand, they do have a mind control, so keeping the Dequoichi actually makes a little bit more sense. The pot makes it scarier, though, because Edison Smurf could draw 2 cards, and then those are unknown, and it's not guaranteed to be the Dequoichi that you're setting. But Edison Smurf, I mean, you can kind of guess when BLS gets sent back here that testing does have a knock or a minecon in hand. So there you might be trying to bait some stuff. So testing actually would have to give that a lot of credence, despite the Dushu giving them knowledge at this point in time. Edison Smurf, if they set a monster, pretty likely that it's a bluff, depending on what they hit off this pot of greed. Yeah, BLS is going to get sent back, which is pretty interesting. Targeting all of the cards so it shows up in the log. You don't have to type it out. Nice little trick there. Edison Smurf, of course, going to fire off the Pot of Greed, get 2 unknown cards in hand, and yeah, now they're going to go T set with a couple back row. One of them's got to be that Jar of Greed. And now testing, do you think it is Dekoichi or not? I guess we'll see. If you whiff with your Minecon, that's pretty bad. If you had Knock in hand, it's a lot safer to not send back the Dekoichi, because then no matter what they set, you have something to deal with it. But Minecon doesn't work against bluffs very well, so interested to see. We're going to go flip someone Knight Assailant, though. Okay, so that basically does what Knock would do in this scenario. You get to save your Minecon for later. Definitely a lot better late game than Knock, because it can deal with Chaos Monsters as well, right? So if you have other ways of dealing with set monsters, you generally want to prioritize using them over the Minecon. So Knight Assailant going to come down, pop this set. It was that Dekoichi, so Minecon would have gotten some value. But I understand testing be a little bit more conservative here. Poke in for 200. Solid turn, going up like half a card. Set a back row pass. Cool. Edison Smurf, likely going to see this Jar Greed get activated. No reason not to, right? Testing knows it's set. And then, we had double jar, so drew into a second jar off of that Pot of Greed. So really churning through the deck at maximum speed here. Show me the Upstart Goblin. There we go. Okay. I did not watch this game ahead of time. But it was fitting with the theme, right, guys? Lots of goblin-themed cards. Goblin and or pottery-themed cards being resolved this turn. And then the end result is going to be a couple back row pass, so Edison Smurf, yeah, I guess still a little bit monster dead despite activating all of these draw cards. Dekoichi must have been their only possible normal summon at that point in time, facing down this set Knight Assailant. And just hasn't been able to find another one. So big tempo swing here for testing. Testing did also not use our normal summon last turn, though, so both players might have been sort of a brick situation here. So whoever can find a real threat first and land it might be in a decent spot. We're going to end phase Dust Tornado, pop one of these new back row. It hits a Mirror Force. Okay, so testing's aggression will be a little bit safer. Definitely a card that you want to keep in the side against what you saw at game 1 from testing. Let's see. Testing top decks Thunder Dragon, so they could go, if they don't have another threat, we could just see Tribute Summon for TD, get a 1600 beater on the board. Definitely not terrible. And that is exactly what we're going to see. TD comes down, gets in for 16. Edison Smurf takes it, and yeah, testing, decent spot. First one to land a threat. Applying that pressure, has a back row to potentially protect it. And since we're up on the back row, they have the third Jar of Greed. A little bit more pottery for everyone to enjoy. See an extra card. And then we're going to get Thunder Dragon of their own. Wow, so yeah, maximum deck thinning. Show me the Graceful Charity that they were waiting for. There, oh my god. That's pretty funny. I'm clairvoyant today, I guess, guys. I don't know. I promise you I didn't watch this setup. Graceful going to come down, going to discard those 2 Thunder Dragons. This is just an insane... I mean, this is what Chaos Turbo is built to do, though. You know, basically, except for the second Upstart Goblin, every potential, like, churn through the deck card has resolved here. Not counting, like, Dekoichis and stuff. But look at how few cards left they have in deck compared to testing. Even though no one's really up any significant card advantage, it's just Turbo actually looking like a Turbo deck at this point in time. And it's going to result in them finally finding a monster to play. Okay, so they're going to set it with a couple back row. Likely trying to wall out this Thunder Dragon. Testing as Giant Orc, though, so spies beware. The big Orc is coming through. Going to attack the set. And it is Gravekeeper Spy. That will just cycle for another Spy, though. Small win here for testing, but Giant Orc, like we saw last game, is kind of vulnerable now, of course. Got beaten over by lowly Sinister Serpent last game. Although it did get some solid value here, at least dealing with half of the Gravekeeper Spy combo. If it sticks around, that's really strong, but likely we'll see Edison Smurf deal with it. This is a little bit risky. We're going to go Spy, kill the Orc. It is threatened to get beat over by the Thunder Dragon. So, but I mean, I guess if you don't have anything to deal with the orc just yet, Spy will eventually die to the orc anyway, so you might as well have it take out the orc on the way out, is probably the thought there for Medicine Smurf. Unless they just have a back row to protect this. But if you, yeah, because there's no guarantee that if you had like a ring or something, you would use it on that giant orc because it was just gonna cycle for the spy. So maybe now you hold it in case you find a better way to use it, but at the very least, you can protect your spy with it when the Thunder Dragon comes down. Or we can just go main phase 2, summon Sork, and deal with the threat to our spy that way. That's also quite good. And yeah, cool. Sork's going to come down, banish the TD. Really nice play here for Medicine Smurf. Absorbing the pressure from testing and then clapping back with extra force and now asserting dominance over the board. Testing here still has plenty of cards in hand, but has struggled to kind of really apply pressure this turn, or this game so far. Snatch Steal is a good way, though. Snatch going to come down on this Chaos Sorcerer, and Medicine Smurf does have the Raigeki break here, though. But forced to discard the Nobleman of Crossout, which is a real card. It was something that I believe testing knew about, right? But still, this still is a 2-for-1 here out of Edison Smurf being forced to protect their Chaos Sorcerer. So testing here, finding their way back. They still have to deal with the Sork, though. It can stick around and get more advantage to equalize that. But if testing can just answer the Sork here, that'll be a pretty nice win for them. Let's see. We're going to just slam down the BLS. Yeah, I guess we knew this was in hand from before when we revealed it. They've been holding this BLS, and I believe the Snatch Steal for quite some time. Saying, you know what, now it's time. If I can answer the Sork, I'll be really happy. So let me slam it down, banish it, or, I mean, Mirror Force is gone. You could go attack over both. I feel like you probably don't want to risk Sakuretsu Armor, though. Edison's, or Chaos Turbo in general, will often side in Sakuretsu Armors against you as an aggro player. So testing likely can kind of, you probably want to play around it, is essentially just what I'm getting at here. But just because the Mirror Force is gone doesn't mean that they're out of battle traps. So I would probably play it safe here and just banish the Sork, and then this was actually a pretty solid win of a turn for you. Especially because if you don't utilize your Prio to get something right now, if the set is Ring or something, you won't even get the chance to clear out the board, and that kind of feels like the main priority at this point in time. Oh, it's not going to matter, though, because Edison Smurf is going to side in the Solemn Judgments. Yeah, so likely got the standard, like, Zambira, Saku, Solemn Judgment game plan that you normally sided against Warriors here. Didn't see any Solemns pre-side, but definitely something common to see post-side against aggressive decks. And this will protect their board as well, so Edison Smurf likely feeling even more comfy to go for this big aggressive play last turn because they had the Solemn to back it up. Really nice stuff there. And testing had 2 outs in hand to the BLS, but Edison Smurf had 2 or more answers, and the Sork will stick around and continue to be a menace. Edison Smurf is pretty low on life here, but they are the aggressor. It's going to be hard for testing to pressure the life points from here, unless it's via direct damage cards. Heavy Storm is going to be crazy. Edison Smurf, master of the pro set Heavy Storm, getting good value out of it both games. And when you got a bunch of beaters on board, it's really nice to resolve that and make sure you can attack for free. Ring is going to come down here, though, and that'll pop Edison Smurf down all the way to 800 life points, which is really, really scary for them. And now Heavy Storm is just going to be a 1-for-1 trade. Hitting... why are we bluff set... Huh. Bluff setting Minecon. Okay. Interesting. Not sure why we... I guess, are we playing around... No, we're not playing around Dust Shoot. That's a little bit odd to me, that we would risk a pretty high-value card against Turbo for very little reward there. Especially when we know Edison likes to pro-set Heavy Storms, as we saw last game. So a little bit of a potentially unforced error there out of testing. They do get a lot of value out of ringing the Sork, not only removing Edison's first biggest threat, but also dealing a good chunk of damage to them as well. But now they're actually just down a few cards. Thanks to that Heavy Storm. Spy's going to start clocking them, but clear at this point, Edison Smurf doesn't have too much extra oomph there. So they're just going to set a back row pass. And yeah, no extra threat. So testing may be off the hook here. Just needs to force through 800 points of damage. A little bit tough with Snatch, Steal, and Ring gone. But you do have a lot of big beaters in your deck, so definitely possible. He's going to draw pass, though. Okay, Edison Smurf here. Good position to continue to apply pressure. Sure, they wish that it was more than a spy. But 1200 a turn is better than 0 a turn. Testing will go ahead and T-set pass here. Yeah, and we do know that they run stuff like Dekoichi, so not too weird to see this. Let's see, what spy are we going to continue to beat in? I guess, they play Dekoichi, so probably good to just attack in here just in case. We're gonna go defensive here. We're gonna set the spy. I guess you're pretty low on life, so walling up the spy would be pretty good. This could be some crazy mind games though, if testing like set Slate Warrior, thinking Edison Smurf wasn't going to attack into it, and you go flip up the Slate Warrior and beat over the spy. Maybe I'm thinking too big, but I think that would be pretty cool. It would be a pretty nice mind game win for testing if that is the case. Let's see what the set is though. We're not even gonna set. Okay, yeah, so just a bluff set. Edison Smurf calling it out, saying, I'm just gonna wall up behind my spy, get into a little stalemate, and just try and protect my 800 life points as best as possible. I don't hate it. Trapdoor Shoot is going to come through here, though. We'll see what Edison Smurf is rocking. Their hand is a pretty much dead Ring of Destruction. Going to be hard to find a target to ring for the rest of this game. Solemn here, though, is really good to protect your life. Minecon is nice, but at this point you know that the set is pretty much a bluff. And Snatch Shield. All right, so most importantly, this does shoot whiffed. There are no monsters in Edison Smurf's hand, so this is going to be a nice +1 for them. Not a full +1, obviously, because testing will have good knowledge of what Edison Smurf is up to now. But in terms of raw cards, win here for Edison Smurf. In a position where they're really trying to grind out a long game here, that makes sense. And then, I mean, do you just like set a bunch of stuff with the heavy? Yeah, you want to set at least 2 so they don't know exactly which one is the Solemn Judgment, is my guess. So I like that play out of Edison Smurf. Maybe you set the ring at the same time. Just to like bait out something, is my guess. Testing just going to add a back row pass. Spy, once again, doing its best Great Wall impression. Not going to come down. Banish this set, though. So it is the Sinister. Yeah, so Edison Smurf getting the scouting that this wasn't a real set, so they're not going to waste their Minecon on it. But Knock does the same job, whether it's a bluff or real. And now their Spy could get in for damage, but we've seen Edison Smurf be a little bit cautious here. Definitely wouldn't be surprised to just see them sit behind the Spy. It's pretty hard for your opponent to kill you when you have a Spy on board and there's no ring or snatch available, like I was saying before. So I definitely don't hate Edison Smurf just waiting for safer pressure here, if that's what they choose to do. Little commentator's curse there, but Spy will just get turned to attack position. So saying, you know what? Rather win this sooner rather than later. And I guess making the call that testing doesn't seem to have a lot of gas here. And Spy's going to get in another hit. Yeah, so seems pretty good. We're going to slime down Sangan as well. Very, very safe pressure. Turn this into a 2-turn clock as well. So very safely increasing the clock by a turn is very, very strong. Or it's even more than a turn, right? Yeah, so very, very high value Sangan here. Very safe pressure into whatever testing might have set. There is a world where testing held Mirror Force against a single Spy hit, right? So a second monster isn't necessarily safe at this point in time, but Sangan, obviously floats. So really nice. And testing is going to get dropped down to 900. And both players at minuscule life, both rings are... Or no, I guess we know Edison Smurf has ring in their hand. So they do have ring for the draw available to them at any point if they so need. So they do have a nice kind of safety self-destruct button. But they're going for broke here. They have lethal on board. Testing clearly has nothing to do here. And this might just be enough. Ooh, looks like we top deck some chaos action. Sork's gonna come down, banish this Sangan. Or do we go for game? I don't think you go for game here. Edison Smurf, are we gonna let we're gonna let this resolve. I guess that's fair. Because we know Solemn is most likely set. I guess the idea is if they attack in, you can... I mean, we don't know what all the back row is, but presumably if they try to attack for game, you have an out to it. Otherwise, you wouldn't let this resolve, pretty much. Unless you're playing mind games. But there's no need to waste your Solemn on this if you have an out to the attack plan, because you do have that Minecon to deal with it and clear out for lethal again. So I like Edison Smurf slow rolling, holding Solemn here, assuming that they have an out for the attack. Is the out just... Yeah, so it is Regaki Break. Discard Snatch Steal. Okay. Yeah, so unfortunately, that's a pretty big unit used, and it must be the Minecon left in hand. So 2 for 1 themselves to deal with the Sork, but the theory here is that testing, clearly had a pretty dead hand. So, and they likely top decked the Sork. So, if you the logic is, I'm not gonna need my Snatch Shield because if I just answer the Sork, they won't have any gas left, and then I can just attack in for game. Of course, you need to defend yourself against losing here, but I think this makes sense from Edison Smurf, regardless. Yeah, and that's just gonna be GG. Yeah, so Edison Smurf calling Testing's bluff. What did they have in hand? Oh, I guess we knew about the Thunder Dragon, a dead Dust Shoot, and a not super dead Magician of Faith. And then I guess their back row were just bluff sets. Yeah. Okay. Um, yeah, so Testing just really not drawing the stuff. That's the unfortunate thing with these matchup decks sometimes. I like seeing cool stuff like this Chaos Beatdown list, but sometimes it just loses to the almighty consistency of Chaos Turbo. We're at Pottery class today, right? Pot of Greed, Triple Jar. We saw a Goblin come through. We saw a TD plus Graceful come through. So to be fair, Testing was probably at a disadvantage just from the sheer speed of Edison Smurf here. Did make quite a solid game out of it, pressuring them, dropping them all the way down to 800, but could not force the last few points of damage through, thanks to some unfortunate bricks. And Edison Smurf is going to take it down 2-0. Turbo versus Chaos Beatdown. Cool games, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll catch you all next time.